So Christopher, you have the students in your room with you? You're on mute.
Unfortunately, at LBJ right now, we're doing cleaning, so I don't have any teens with me, but I'm hopefully trying to get a few other coordinators that have teens with them. So I'm
Okay.
trying to get them on right now.
Okay. And Wendy, I'm not sure if you heard us discuss that we're going to go ahead and record this too. Is that okay? All right. It's 3 o'clock. We'll wait just a couple more minutes and hopefully we'll get some students to join us.
Yeah, hopefully. I am emailing and texting them right now. Hopefully they'll join. I'm just trying to get them to
Okay, we'll give it a few more
have
minutes.
problems. Yeah. And thank you guys so much for doing this. This is
Sure.
like, honest to God, like this is awesome. Like I really do appreciate it.
We love doing them. It's kind of been our new thing lately and it's turned out really well. So.
Nice. Awesome.
Okay, Emily, let me know when you're ready to start and we'll go ahead and since it's being recorded, they can share it with the other students as we go along.
Christopher, is that okay to start or are they still logging in?
I believe it's okay to start.
Okay.
And if they do log in late, then we'll go from there. But I believe we're good right now.
Okay.
Great.
Off
Well,
to you, Margie.
Okay, good afternoon. And I'd like to welcome the Boys and Girls Club of Truckee Meadows. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Margie Green. I'm the Executive Officer of the Nevada State Contractors Board. and I'll be serving as the moderator for this panel today. As middle and high school students, the future is bright and full of opportunities, but it still may seem like the future is far in the distance. It is never too late or too early to prepare and plan for your career and economic stability, which you have all begun to do as students. The Nevada State Contractors Board wanted to provide this platform to connect you with local construction industry experts to provide a more in-depth outlook on the job market and continuing education, as well as information, guidance, and resources that will assist you as you pursue your future career aspirations. I'd like to begin now by introducing our panel participants and their organizations. First, we have Mary Young, who's the Vice President of Women Build Nevada Committee. Mary is also an iron worker.
Hello.
Next, we have Nicole Perez, who is a journey person with the Electricians Union, IBEW 401, who is also an instructor with the IBEW 401 and chairperson of the Women Build Nevada Committee.
Hello.
Next is Melissa Yuri, who is the Director of Planning for GC Garcia, Inc.
Hi, thank you.
Finally, we have Morgan Miller, who is the project manager of Silver State Masonry.
Hi.
Welcome, panelists, and thank you for joining us this afternoon. So before we begin, students, please note that you are muted, so we encourage you to ask any questions that you may have. You can submit questions through the chat section anytime, and we will get to them during the discussion, and we'll open it up for the Q&A following this presentation. If there's a specific panelist that you would like to pose your question to, simply include their name with your question. So to begin with, can each of you tell us about your company and what your role is that you do in your position? We can start with Nicole.
Thank you. So I'm an instructor at the Northern Nevada Electrical Training Center. I've been working there for a bit over 2 years. I've taught all the years of the apprenticeship and the pre-apprenticeship, and I've also written and rewritten the pre-apprentice curriculum a few times to suit the changing needs of the local industry. And I've been responsible for building the online platform, which we've been using to educate the students during the pandemic. That's what I do for Northern Nevada Electrical.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Morgan?
At Silver State Masonry, I do pretty much anything from project management, which means I'm out in the field making sure our product is top quality, meeting specs with our project, all the way down to payroll and entering invoices here in the office. So I have a pretty wide variety of what I do, and everything keeps me on my toes and very busy. I've only been doing this for about 2 years, so it's very exciting and I learn something new every day.
Thank you. Mary?
I'm an apprentice with the Ironworkers, so I haven't journeyed out yet. There's about 8 periods in the apprenticeship, and I'm at number 5. Let's see, I don't work for a specific company. I work for all kinds of companies, whether they're structural like Red Cedar or Rebar, which is with Harris Rebar, or CMC. So every time a job finishes, I go back to the hall, sign the out of work list, and then I go to a different company. What else do we need? Is that it?
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Okay, Melissa?
So we are planning consultants. So what we do is we work with the business owners, the developers, property owners to help build and improve their land. We do a lot of the front end work. So we work sometimes with the contractors, we work directly with the property owners to get their way through all of the red tape that is the regulations and paperwork that's required to get the permits and to get the applications approved that allow for buildings and homes to be built. So we do a lot of the front end work prior to the developers actually going in and breaking ground and starting building. And we do also building permits. We also work with their business licenses to help them actually get the license for their businesses, including things like liquor and gaming And then our planning and zoning entitlements, which is what goes with the land and allows the buildings or homes to be built.
Thank you. Okay, a question for each of you, and we'll start with Nicole on this as well. Why pursue a career in construction and development? Can you tell us how you got your start in the industry, and what the trajectory of your career has been? For example, was it a college internship, entry-level position? You worked your way up, etc. So,
Sure. So I
Great.
initially, hello? So I initially decided to get into the electrical industry because I wanted to work using my hands as well as my brain. And I wasn't interested in pursuing a career that was traditionally seen as a woman's career. I started out in El Paso, Texas, about 17 years ago, where I took a 10-month college course on electrical work and then proceeded to work for an electrical contractor. A while later, I learned that there was something called a union, and so I decided to check it out. And I joined the union in 2007 as a first-year apprentice. I moved to Reno in 2008 and continued my apprenticeship here, graduating and becoming a journey level worker in 2012. So since then, I've done a few things within the industry, such as solar fields, data centers, hospitals, substations. I've been a foreman on a few projects as well. Then a couple of years ago, the opportunity arose within the apprenticeship, and when nobody else would fill the position, I decided to give it a try, and I've been here ever since as an instructor.
great, thank you. Morgan?
So I chose the construction career path because growing up, I followed my dad around on job sites. And I remember wearing that big old hard hat and his giant yellow and orange vest. And it was the coolest thing to see this dirt lot turn into a beautiful building that's still standing today. And even though my dad told me, don't do it, go be a doctor, go do something else, I still didn't listen to him. And so I went to college, and I have a math degree from a four-year university, and then I also have a construction management AA from TMCC here in Reno. So while I was in college, I interned with a couple general contractors to see if it was something I really liked. And I was lucky enough to be offered an entry-level job straight out of college. So that put me right in the beginning of the whole career path for working in the office with general contractors who help manage projects and multiple subs. And so that I thought was super fun, but I'll be honest, I got bored. So it kind of worked out that my dad ended up getting Silver State and taking over and starting to run this company. And so now we build commercial masonry buildings. So it's concrete masonry units. You might know them as like cinder blocks, or you see the big gray things at Home Depot. People put them in their backyard sometimes, but we do commercial buildings. So majority of our work are these schools here in town, and I can't get over how beautiful they look. And that to me is why I want to stay in this industry, to make our community look beautiful and to continue building and creating amazing places that people can go and learn and become the people they want to become. Since I did start entry level, and then now I'm here with my dad, I'm still very entry level. I'm still learning so much. And I use every day as an opportunity to learn by asking the people I work with, hey, what's this? Hey, can you explain that? Hey, what are you doing? Wait, why does it go like that? I just continue to ask questions so that you learn the industry you're in, and you can figure out if you actually like it or not. And there's no right or wrong position. And that's something that I'm learning right now, that there's so many positions that one day I can be doing something completely different than tomorrow, and I'm still at the same amazing company, and I'm just still involved in construction. And so that's why I'm still trying to work my way up. But construction is definitely deep in my bones, considering my upbringing.
Great. Mary?
So my story is kind of similar to yours, Morgan. I went with my dad on different construction sites, and my dad was an iron worker, and he still is. He owns his business, and he has been signatory, which is union based, and he's been non-signatory, and he's done a couple different things. But yeah, I grew up welding with him, and helping him out around the shop, cutting metal, lifting heavy things. And he said, kid, you need to go get an education, go get a career. So I said, all right, but this is what I want to do. And he's like, trust me. So I went to Shasta College over in Redding, California. I graduated with general education and in agriculture. And then after that, I said, Dad, I finished that. And he's like, keep going. So I did. And I went to Cal Poly over in San Luis Obispo and graduated with a BS in agricultural systems and management. And then after that, I went into manufacturing and I was a supervisor for about 7 years. So I enjoyed that. I enjoyed working with people and diagnosing different mechanical problems, handling products, seeing my product on the shelves. I worked for companies like Blue Diamond and Diamond Foods, and it was great, but it wasn't fulfilling what I wanted to do. I still liked working with my hands, and being in that industry, you're still doing paperwork at a desk, and I needed something different. So I quit after 7 years and joined the Ironworkers, joined the union, and I've got my welding certs. I've got stick welding, wire welding, and I'm working on a D1.8, which is full pin welds, which are used in big high-rise buildings or even smaller buildings, to join columns and beams and things like that. So I'm definitely gaining my skills, and I'm doing the apprenticeship right now, which is over 4 years, and there's 8 periods, 5th period. So I'm a little more than halfway through it. Let's see. So with all my background, I could be a superintendent, or I could be a project manager, or I could even own my own fabrication, metal shop, at some point. So there's a whole array of things that I could do with my college education and, using my hands and welding and getting in construction. And I love it. It's hard. It's hard work, hard lifting. You meet some characters in the trade, but in a whole, I love it.
Great. Okay, Melissa.
So I guess there's a running theme here. My father's actually a planner. He was the director of planning for the city of Henderson here in Southern Nevada. And then he left to start the company that we have now, which is GC Garcia. And I actually started in about 8th grade, going into high school, as working on the summers as his receptionist / file clerk. So I was doing administrative paperwork for him, and scheduling appointments, and started doing that, and just started learning things, and again, kind of like Morgan was saying, asking questions like, hey, why are we doing this, or why does this happen this way? And just kept working through it. I did go to college, but I went for interior design. I really, what my father was saying, hey, an architect in the family would be great. And I said, but that's a lot of math, and I don't really want to do that much math. So I took the other way out and decided that, the planning is really great. I get to work with a lot of people. So I actually worked my way up in the company, and I've been learning as I went. I learned the city codes and the county codes, and working with the local government officials like city council members, planning commissioners. And so it's really great because I've gotten to work with a lot of different people. We work with the builders and the developers, and we also work with the residents that live in the community. So, there's always different people. There's always new projects. Things are always different. We do industrial projects, so giant warehouses. We have worked with some of the smaller casinos that are out here. We've done retail, so like, stores or, nail salons. We've worked with restaurants. So we get to work with, every project's different. But the fun thing is we get to work with people to try and build these really great businesses and bring them into our community in places that are really great, and get to work with people and get to meet a lot of people. So, it's been really nice. It doesn't require a college degree to be a planner. There are urban planning degrees. You can go to University of California. There is some at Texas A&M. There's Arizona State even offers it. But there are certifications. So you can actually do like I did and just kind of go someplace and just start asking questions and learning. And as you learn, you can choose to get those certifications rather than going the traditional 4-year college route. And you can still move your way up in this career and do a lot without having to, if college isn't where you want to be, it's not required.
Great. Well, thank you all. I appreciate all your interesting backgrounds. That was great. So our next question, the students from the Boys and Girls Club are currently in middle and high school grades. While job interviews may be a few years down the road, what opportunities do they have to gain experience or additional education and exposure in the field, such as interviews, programs, job shadowing, etc.? So Mary, let's start with you. I think we're on mute still, Mary.
There we go.
Yeah.
Thanks. Sorry about that. Let's see, with the ironworkers, we have an apprenticeship program, which you just got to be 18 and have a diploma and an ID, and you can apply, straight from there. It's a 4-year program. You get to work and go through these classes and instruction periods, and be with other apprentices as well. There is that route. I would recommend going to a community college. You're going to find a whole array of different construction facets. I mean, you could take a wood shop class, you can take a welding class and see if you like it, and then just get your general education. So that's the route maybe you'd want to go.
Okay, great. Melissa, how about you? Do you have any advice?
So it's hard. There's not a lot of job shadowing that's necessarily available. But what I would recommend is, if you're kind of curious about what planners do, go to and attend a local planning commission meeting or a city council, or if you have a county commissioners meeting, go there and they do their planning or zoning meetings, and stay there. You don't have to stay the whole meeting, but stay there for a little bit and watch the representatives that are coming up to talk about their projects to the city council or to the planning commissioners, and just see what they're doing and what they're proposing. And you can also at those meetings hear what the city staff or county staff has to say. So there is 2 sides to doing planning. There are those that work directly for the government agencies, and then there's people like us that are on the private sector that are, working outside of the government, that are helping people with their projects. So there's 2 different paths there as well, but that would give you a really great idea as to, what are you doing? Because ultimately with a project, we do end up representing in front of a city council or planning commission to get it approved. So it gives you a really great idea as to what that might entail. And if you're curious, reach out to a local company and ask them if they do offer any job shadowing, and if they have any programs where they would allow someone to come in and kind of see what they do and find out a little bit more.
Great, thank you. Morgan?
I would definitely agree with Mary on checking out a local community college and seeing what kind of classes they do have, because it'll give you some beginner knowledge to know going into the field. Another huge thing, it's not too common right now because we're not able to gather, but career fairs, those are huge because companies set up booths and you get to walk around and you can ask them all sorts of questions and talk to them about what they do, what other opportunities are in their company and stuff like that. So I definitely highly recommend career fairs because there's little to no cost. Sometimes high schools even put those on. I know here in Reno, some middle schools would be bused to career fairs as well. So there's opportunities from the school districts that allow kids to have this openness and this opportunity to chat with other careers. So that's something in the future, hopefully they bring back, but definitely community college, and then reaching out to some businesses too to see what they might have to offer and ask questions, ask lots of questions.
Great advice. Nicole?
Am I unmuted? Okay. So I'm not entirely sure what there is out there for most students around that age, but I do know that there are some middle schools and high schools in Northern Nevada that offer courses on electrical training as well as other skilled trades. One of the ways that those can be looked up is do a quick search on Nevada CTE program directory. And they show you what schools in Washoe County, Northern Nevada, whatever county, what schools offer what courses for electrical, welding, there's things like that. Northern Nevada Electrical Training Center has been talking about getting a program together as well so that we can teach an electrical program in high schools. We also do the career fairs like the other ladies were saying. On occasion we'll join the career fairs to show them what we do. And also whenever anyone's interested or whenever there's enough people interested, sometimes I'll do walkthroughs of our training facility with some students so that they can see our facility and what we do in there, and I can explain things to them as well.
That's some great advice again. So the next is going to be about skills. So I'd like to ask each of the panelists, which skills are important to develop and are transferable that will help broaden job opportunities and positions for our students and ensure lifelong employability in this industry? So who wants to take a shot at that one?
I guess I will.
Okay.
So it's with anything, I think, at least for me, it's been important to develop my study skills, whether I'm watching or I'm doing it with my hands or I'm listening, just figuring out how I learn and how I retain it. That's been important. That way I can perform my job once I learn and get it and everything else. Social skills are important. Developing those, knowing how to talk to people, how to communicate, if things are wrong or if things are good or, just whatever's going on. Social skills are really important. And then follow through skills, starting a project, making sure you take care of everything in the middle and then following through with the end product. Whether you're talking to somebody or working on a project, follow through skills are very important, to at least have been to me in being successful. So, yep, those three.
Right. Okay. Anyone want to volunteer to go next?
And
Okay.
I'll kind of piggyback off what Mary said, along with follow-up skills, definitely being able to have that problem solving aspect where you're able to see what you have to do, understand what needs to get done, because it's not going to go the way you think in construction. Rarely ever does your day go perfectly planned. So being able to have a wrench thrown at you in the middle of what you're doing and then being able to recover, fix, and move on and continue your work is huge. And then also number 2 would be, just lost my place. Sorry, would be just the ambition to be able to get your stuff done and having that prioritization and your organization to be able to know if something's due tomorrow, don't wait until tomorrow to start it, because construction is full of deadlines, whether it's scheduled deadlines, whether it's bid deadlines, whether it's insurance, pay applications, paying your bills, paying your suppliers. There's so many things that have due dates and they're all so different. So being able to prioritize and having that ambition to be able to maintain it is going to be huge as well.
Thank you. Okay, who would like to go next?
I can go.
Melissa?
Actually,
Okay,
Nicole, I think Nicole can go ahead and I'll follow up.
Okay, Nicole.
Okay, thank you. So I think that learning to work together as we do on crews on a job site can be very beneficial no matter where you decide to land in the future. There's a lot of different personalities that you'll be exposed to on job sites. And sometimes you may have to work with someone you don't quite get along with. Learning the social skills to figure out how to get along with those people can help open up new opportunities, because you have to deal with people no matter where you go. And working on crews, with all types of people, I think definitely helps learn how to deal with people.
Alyssa, would you like to add to that?
I think I agree with everything the ladies have said. I would say for us, attention to detail is definitely important. We do a lot of plan check review. So, being able to really look over plans and being careful, not just glancing at it, but so a lot of attention to detail. That even goes for some technical writing that we do. So attention to detail is really important. Those soft skills, such as, being able to actively listen to others and work with people even when you maybe don't agree with them or what they're saying, and being flexible. So just, don't be too rigid. Give yourself, a chance that if something doesn't go right, or hey, maybe somebody went left when you thought they were going right, and just being able to be flexible to, change, to adapt to what's going on with what you're doing. It's really, really important. And then last, I think for us, integrity, it seems odd. It's again, kind of more of a personal characteristic, but when you're dealing with other people, just keep in mind that you always want to keep your integrity intact and with what you're doing and what you're saying when you're working with other people, and how you proceed. It's extremely important, and it means a lot for your reputation, and not just for what you're doing, but just you yourself as a person. It's very important.
Great. That's, again, great advice. So my next question, and for students, you can look in the chat room and there's some links to apprenticeship programs and training programs. And then if you're interested in the City Planning Commission, there's a link for that as well. So please, and then again, students, please, if you have any questions, type them in the chat room so we can get to them as we go along. So my next question is, how do advances in technology and innovation impact the construction industry? How will it play out over the next decade? And how can our students prepare for these changes? So Mary, can we start with you?
Let's see. Well, for the future, construction's always going to be happening, whether it's a retrofit or a new building. So there'll always be a need for craftsmen out there, that are fluent with their trade. That's about it for me.
Okay. Okay. Nicole, do you want to answer that one?
Sure. So the electrical industry is consistently changing with new technologies such as, smart switches and smart lights and smart locks, all types of smart stuff. All of construction is constantly changing. So as far as the electrical industry goes, that's not going to be any different. There's all types of things that you can imagine and some that you can't, that are being thought of right now. And so at the training center, what we do is we make sure to keep our curriculum up to date so that we aren't left behind. And we also have continuing education courses that our journey level workers can take to keep their credentials up to date. And I believe some of those are free. So once you're done with the apprenticeship, that doesn't mean that you're done learning. And it doesn't mean that you have to pay a whole bunch of money to learn some more either. We like to keep our journey level workers up to date on everything, just the same as the apprentices.
Awesome. Okay, Morgan, let's hear from you on this subject.
So technology is definitely going to have a huge impact in construction, in my opinion. You already see it today with coordination stuff between different trades on a project. So you have what's called CAD drawings and BIM coordination, where you have all these multiple trades working in a 3D model to make sure that everybody can fit properly, meeting structural requirements, meeting space requirements, all of that fun stuff before the building has even started. So having that start already, I can see within 10 years, it's going to be very impressive in what we can do and what we can build. And I'm sure each trade, like Nicole was saying, they're going to continue to get smarter with technology too. So it's just going to be an evolving thing. I know here at Silver State Masonry, estimating is a huge thing for us. Obviously, you have to estimate a building, do a takeoff on how many block are in the building, how many square yards of grout are in the building, etc. And we have a software now that we can upload drawings into, and we pretty much put in a calculation and tell it what the material is and where it's supposed to go, and it spits out the quantities for us and spits out a price for us. So I mean, it's taking a one person job that used to be a month long. Now it's taking us a week to put it into the system and get a number back and be able to be that much more efficient. And then also, I mean, this is a little bit further from construction, but equipment tracking too, being able to track your equipment, where it's at, the fuel levels, how the oil life is at, where the oil life is at on some of your forklifts. All of this stuff is helping with technology so that us sitting in the office know that our equipment out in the field is still running properly and maintained. So technology is continuing to grow and make our lives a little bit easier, but it's definitely challenging keeping up with it.
Melissa?
So we've seen it in a lot of things, like even the use of drones now to look at sites and survey the sites. So sometimes you have drones going out there, and that's also helping with getting pictures and video to help with renderings of potential projects. So we're seeing things like drones being used, and to go into like some of the piping, they used to have to look in a pipe. You used to have literally like a long wand with a camera at the end of it. Now they have machines that can crawl down into some of the sewer pipes and take pictures as it goes down. So as we keep getting newer and newer technology, it's going to make it a lot easier for some of the things on the job sites. And then also, as Morgan mentioned, a lot of the software programs and how those are creating the plans to build these projects. They keep getting, different, they keep evolving. And so we keep getting better and better plans out of them, and they're coming faster than anyone could have done when they were doing it by hand. And then also, when the pandemic started, a lot of the government agencies didn't accept plans except for paper plans for the most part. And what we've seen is now we're submitting them electronically, they're stamped electronically. So there's going to be these constant changes that evolve that just makes it that things are just moving so much faster than they ever did before. And so as technology keeps advancing, I think we're going to see those things come faster and faster, but it allows projects to get done just that much quicker as well.
Okay, great. So my next question is, what is the future of the industry and employment opportunities? And why is this career a good choice to make? So anyone want to take a shot at that?
I'll do it.
Okay.
Real quick. Well, like I said before, there's always going to be construction. For iron workers, they're always going to be calling for welders, for people who can connect to, have that special niche that have, their skill nailed down. So I think that might answer the question for the ironworker side.
Okay. Okay, Nicole, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I can go. So I think it's a great choice to make to get into the construction industry because, like Mary was saying, things always need to be built or upgraded or repaired. Things are always changing. And so there's always going to be a need for construction workers. And there's no possibility for that need to go away. Unless people go away, there's always going to be a need for construction.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Morgan and Melissa, which one of you would like to go next? Melissa?
I'll go next. Yeah, there's always going to be construction. There's always going to be development. As a state that has a lot of open land still available, I'm sure we see as development takes place, places that were once empty, now there's buildings, there's businesses. And then as things start to get older, going in and as they also going in and repairing them or remodeling them and giving them new life. So construction never stops. I'm sure just like we have down here, like road construction, So no matter where you go, you almost always see orange construction cones somewhere, some road is being repaired. You know, we can't get away from it. And that's just kind of proof of how there's always going to be construction. Sometimes it's a road, sometimes it's a building, but it's never going to go away because cities keep evolving. So we started as smaller cities, the city gets bigger. Now we have things like Uber and Lyft. Now that's going to create, you know, new ways to construct. And as the technology changes and as how our cities change, construction is going to keep going to, you know, keep pace with those things in our cities. So it's never going to go away. There's always going to be a need for construction and development. So it's skills that will always be needed.
Well, as we kind of wrap up today's discussion, I'd like to ask each panelist, what's one piece of advice you would give to the students that are tuning in today as they continue their studies and are considering future careers in construction? So, Mary?
Well, I would say let your career choices be out of interest, what you want to do versus out of necessity. I've been in both situations, and out of necessity is no fun because I didn't learn, I didn't grasp things, I didn't, produce to my full potential. But now that I'm in something that has my interest, I have my good days and my bad days, but it's what I want to do, and I perform, and the money's good, the environment's healthy, and everything's good. So choose something that you like and you want to do.
Thank you. Melissa?
I'm going to say, if you don't know just yet what you want to do, that's okay. But don't be afraid to try something new and to fail at it. Because one of the best ways to find out if you like something or not is do it. If you fail, that's okay. Now is the time to fail. Do it. Find out that, you know what, I don't like this, or wow, this is just terrible. I don't want to, just go for it. Don't hold back. And, you may just end up falling into something you actually love and didn't expect to.
Thank you. Morgan?
I think Melissa looked at my notes, but I agree entirely. That, and also when you think of construction, don't just think about the labor intensive parts. There's people in the background that are running the office, keeping the office open, making sure the equipment is running, making sure the equipment is fueled. There's so many more moving parts than just the actual labor behind the actual construction. So I like to always bring that up because people don't think about that. They think about construction and they think about digging with a shovel or driving a big tractor. So make sure you're thinking about all the other elements too, because that might be your niche. You might be a great plan reader. You might be a great office manager. That's still construction based, and that helps that construction business stay open.
Thank you. Nicole?
Well, one thing that I would like to say is I think that an apprenticeship is a really good way to go if that's what if you're interested in construction, because with an apprenticeship you can make money while you learn, and you're not stuck with a student loan for the rest of your life. And also, like the other lady said, if you fail at it, you can just pick up and go do something else, and you're not stuck with a student loan or anything like that. You can just move on to the next trade, find out what it is that you want to do. So
Thank you. Well, thank you, panelists, for sharing your insight with us today. As students, we're now open for any questions that you have again. If you can submit your question in the chat room, or if you want to unmute yourself and put yourself on video and ask a question, either to anyone in the group or one of our panelists, please do so at this time. Anybody? Okay.
What type of degrees do you guys give out at a construction trade school?
Okay. Nicole or Mary, do you want to answer that?
yeah, I can answer that. So what we have at the Northern Nevada Electrical Training Center is once you're done with the program, you get a license. You're not getting a degree, you're getting a license, but you do have, you are building up credits towards an associate's while you're going to school with this. So you've got 900 hours that you're doing in-class training, and those go towards credits so that you can get an associate's degree if you continue to take courses.
Thank you.
Okay, does anyone else have any questions for the panelists? Don't be shy. Okay, well, okay. Here's a question to any of the panelists. Is the most difficult part to getting a career finding out what you want to do? Who would like to answer that?
It could be. Well, when I was going through my processes, I must have changed my mind at least a handful of times. You know, went from agriculture, wanting to be a radiation technician, to, you know, always wanting to be a welder, fabricator. What else? Maybe vet crossed my mind. So as you're going through your journey, you're going to change your mind, or at least I changed my mind a good handful of times. And then something just clicked and it worked and I pursued it, but, you know, eventually choose something and then run with it.
Any of the other panelists like to chime in on that? No?
Thank you.
What was that? Okay, thank you. Well, that wraps up our discussion for today. Many thanks to Tatiana Hall and the students at the Boys and Girls Club for joining us today. And on behalf of the Nevada State Contractors Board, thanks to each of our incredible panelists for providing your insight and guidance today. Thank you again. So thank you, students. Again, there's some information in the chat room if you're interested in any of those programs. And then also reach out if you have any questions you think of after this. Have a great evening. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all very much.
Wait, we have one more question here.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, where did it go? Which one would you say would be easier one-on-one is the question. I'm not sure what that means. Can we email him? So if you could get your question to one of the instructors, and they'll send it out to us and we'll get back to you with the answer on that. Okay, we're getting a little bit of static here, so. Okay, well, thanks everyone. Have a great evening, and we'll good luck with your career search.
Thank you all. Hope you guys have a wonderful day.